Hunters, I have such a fun story to share with you. Very tragic story, but I'm going to try to make it as fun as possible. I was watching the 1250 podcast, which, by the way, I'd never heard, never saw before, but I actually thought it was really good. So I want you guys to check out that channel afterwards. The guy on the channel was describing a crime that recently happened in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, for those of us that might have forgotten, Cincinnati was where a couple of white folks were enjoying a jazz festival when all of a sudden, I think one of them said the N-word and tried hitting somebody, and before you know it, there was a bunch of turmoil and multiple black people were kind of socking and beating the crap out of white people, and everybody around the country was up in arms about it, right? How dare they touch this beautiful white skin, right? And we were all pissed about it. But this story is completely the opposite. There was a man, he visited this neighborhood in Cincinnati, predominantly white neighborhood, right? And he kept walking around, kind of scoping out the area.
He parked his car right there in front of our place and got out and circled the apartment building and kept looking for something, and then got in his car, drove away. I went over and asked him, was he okay?
And they actually had a dog with them, this one gentleman, one of the neighbors. And the guy actually kind of befriended the dog. And the 1250 podcast brought up a really interesting point.
This is a prime example of stereotypical thinking, right? So basically, what they would call that, if it was our community, is casing the joint, right? Suspicious behavior. Had they been of our community, they would have been calling the police.
But because of the fact that it was a white guy, they didn't even see it as suspicious. They kind of saw it as in, hey, what's going on? Let's meet this guy and talk to him and see if we can befriend him. Black people were in that same situation, don't really get the benefit of the doubt. They don't necessarily have people that are legitimately coming up to them to befriend them. And I totally agree. Sometimes it's hard to see where people are coming from, but the way Podcast 1250 laid out this story, it made perfect sense. So this white gunman kept coming back, and it was almost like he was waiting for the perfect opportunity.
I hear this, pop, 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 and I'm like, oh, that's weird.
Brad Lark and his girlfriend Lisa live across the street from the scene.
So you hear these gunshots. It's a predominantly white neighborhood. All the people that they were interviewing were saying, hey, this doesn't happen here.
It was like a parent yelling at their child in the backyard 3 yards over. It was like...
Brad says the argument was followed by more gunfire.
Come to find out, this white guy had actually killed not one, not two, but 3 Ethiopians that were living there. So you have this white guy committing crime against people with black colored skin.
The news, the socials, all of these things love to show the black violence, love to show our community acting a fool. They love to show that. Why? Because it's sellable, it's believable, it's clickable. But when it's the Caucasian community, don't nobody want to believe it. It's hard to believe. Oh my God, really? Why? How? What? They want to ask 1,001 questions as to why a Caucasian may do something like this. But they already have it installed in their mind why our community would do something like this.
The 3 Ethiopians that lost their lives, 2 of them were women, and they were both related, but I don't know if they were mother, sister, cousin, or what have you, but they were related. But check this out. This is what really saddens me. The 2 women were ages 20 and 22. They were accompanied by a male who was 27. Now, the reason those ages sadden me is most of us are older than that. And we can remember what it was like to be that young. And let's be honest, those are still kids. They really are. In case you're wondering, the two females worked at Tri-Health Good Samaritan Hospital, and their co-workers there at the hospital are very saddened because apparently these two girls were really excellent workers. Why do we go up in arms when it's white folks that get beat up? But if a white person takes out 3 lives, we don't necessarily care about it. And I'm not necessarily sure that's true, and let me tell you why. One of the last things said on this little 3 or 4 minute video clip that he shared.
Brenda, thank you. That shooting was just the first of 3 shootings to happen in the greater Cincinnati area in a span of just 12 hours.
Now, those other 2 shootings, I'm assuming didn't really make the news. But this white devil did make the news. So where he's saying that, hey, this happens all the time in the white community, it just doesn't make very good clickbait, I would actually disagree. I think because this happens so infrequently in the white community that when it does happen, I think there is a giant spotlight on it. And because it's so rare and because it's such an interesting story, I decided I wanted to share it with you guys. You see, I think it's really easy to come across like, hey, white guy's good, black guy's bad. But in reality, I don't think there's any white people that want this guy out on the streets. By the way, after he took out the 3 Ethiopians, he ended up turning the gun on himself. And according to the video, he was in the hospital in serious condition. One of the people in the comments said that he ended up losing his life too. And the comment alluded to the idea that, hey, at least we don't have to worry about jailing him, feeding him, and going through a court process with him. He ended his own life. So I agree with that person. I think that's good. Get that person out of the way. If we could get rid of all the people that take other people's lives, it'll end up leading to a really safer society. So as much as I want to agree with podcast 1250 that white people are just as bad, I think what we really need to say is that criminals, especially those that take other people's lives, it doesn't really matter what color their skin is. Do we as a people want them in our society? And I think overwhelmingly the answer is no. But again, it is fun to say white devil, and there are legitimate white devils out there. There's probably a lot of them. Let's work as a team, as an American team, to get rid of these people. I don't like white criminals. I don't like black criminals, Hispanic criminals, Asian or Arabic criminals, and I don't think anybody does. I mean, can anybody honestly say, hey, I'm okay with white criminals, it's the black criminals I don't like? I don't want any of them living near me. And deep down, neither do any of you guys. And by the way, if you agree with podcast 1250 and you completely disagree with me, and that there's just as much crime on the white side of things, but it's just not advertised, let me know. I would love to hear it, because the reality is you could be right. There's a lot of little pockets in small town America where they could be committing crime like crazy, but maybe people never videotape it, never make a big deal of it. Maybe it never makes it outside of the city's limits or the town's limits. And again, if you feel that way, let me know. Tyrone Y3S, which I think means Tyrone Yes, says, stay away from the white devil. White devil! Stay away from the white devil, I agree. Jesse, were you ever known as the white devil? Oh, I've got some exes that'll agree that I'm the white devil. It's one of my favorite words, by the way. White devil, white devil. Hi, how are you? That lady has no idea how lucky she is. She just walked by the white devil and survived.
But when it's the Caucasian community, it's hard to believe. Oh my God, really? Why? How? What? They want to ask 1,001 questions. As to why a Caucasian may do something like that.
By the way, there is a white devil out there. We like to call them white liberals. The color black 3886 says the Hodge twins and Officer Tatum skip over stories like this. Okay, this is legit, and this is what upsets me. You've heard me say before that the left-leaning podcasters and YouTube content creators, they skip over crime. They never talk about it. The only thing they talk about is the orange man. But I think this comment person, the color black 3886, is right. The Hodge twins, Officer Tatum, Jesse Lee Peterson, I think a lot of times those people refuse to talk about the bad stuff that white people do. Now, they'll excuse it by saying, hey, population-wise, whites don't do as much as blacks. Whatever excuse they want to make, I still agree with you. These are horrific stories. Let's share them, because otherwise it really does look like you hate your own people. And I don't think Officer Tatum and I don't think the Hodge twins want to come across like they hate their own people. But if they never do stories about awful white people, I could see how people can say that about them. Indian Summer 79 says they are still crying about getting beat up, but there's crickets on this subject. Shaking my head. So here's the cool thing with podcast 1250. If you guys go to his channel, watch the video, watch his point of view, hit thumbs up, subscribe. Let's see if we can get his channel to blow up. Let's see if we can get this story out there. If you hit thumbs up on this video, again, it gets the story out there. Gets the story out there. Here's the difference between podcast 1250 and the white devil known as Jesse. When the podcast 1250 speaks, his fans hit the thumbs up button and share the video. You guys never do that shit. Jesus crying manoli. I am so excited today. Can I get a hell yeah? It's football season. Today the Cowboys are playing against, who are they playing against? The Cowboys are playing against the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think the Cowboys are going to win. Right now it's 14-14. But one thing that we kind of forget in this country, it's nearly impossible to even be a good team after you win the Super Bowl. So, where everyone else is claiming the Eagles are going to make it back, your boy is going to say it right here, right now. The Eagles are going to go 10-7 and get kicked out in the first round of the playoffs. Tell me if you agree or disagree. Beats by Dizzy says, send the National Guard to Wisconsin and Idaho to reduce crime. Beats, let's do it. But let's not stop there. Let's send the National Guard to every damn city. And let's let every city know what it's like to have little to no crime. Let's do it. So where you guys are saying this jokingly, right, to prove a point, here's the point. If you send the National Guard to Wisconsin and Idaho, you're going to go from 0 or 1 murders a month, and you're going to stay at 0 or 1. But if you take the National Guard into these major cities like Chicago, LA, Detroit, these type of cities, what do you mean by these type of cities? You know what I mean, crime-ridden cities. Then all of a sudden, instead of 10 or 15 murders, it gets reduced down to 0. So again, let them go to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, let them go to Billings, Montana, but let's not forget about Chicago, Illinois, God bless it. Alvin, UY3DE, says his kind is going extinct. I hate when black people tell white people they're going extinct. What do you guys know that we don't know? All he had to do was sit back and wait until his number came up. At Fubar says, these devils. Do you guys think that there will be a time in the future where white people go extinct? I heard about 15, 20 years ago that redheads were going extinct. And I don't know, I still see redheads, but I think I did used to see more when I was younger. If you feel like there were more redheads 20, 30 years ago than there are now, let me know down below. Redheads are going to be the first to go. Whites will eventually go, but I don't know if that even happens. I really don't. Who knows? Even the population collapse. I mean, are we ever going to get to the point where there's literally 0 births? I don't know. I don't know how that's all going to play out. But I do hope you guys are wrong. And I'll tell you one thing. I think if white people said black people are going extinct, I think it would be a really awful thing. And I got to be honest with you, it is a little offensive. You think we're really going to go extinct like that? I don't know. Renal says, Ethiopian wake-up call. Oh, yeah, Renal. Give them that Ethiopian wake-up call. Holy moly. Sleeping with the enemy, dealing with the devil. Oh, my God. Give them their Ethiopian wake-up call. So their thinking is, hey, we're living in a good white neighborhood. We're working in the hospital. We got it made in the shade. And they even probably started unlocking their doors, right? Because that's what people do when they feel really safe. And then that white devil went right in and gave them their Ethiopian wake-up call and then sent them all on their way to the pearly gates. This is an awful thing that happened. It really, really is. What this guy is making the point of is that sometimes there's black people out there that think they can escape the hood and assimilate into white society, and then they get their wake-up call. Okay, you might be right in this case, but could it just be a case of people that are willing to take other people's lives are mentally deranged? Could it be that? And could it be that no matter what the community is, and no matter how little or how many murders occur, could it still be evil people taking people's lives? If you're a white person or consider yourself to be white, do you think you would want to live next to this guy? Right? Would you see him as a hero because he took out 3 Ethiopians? I don't see him as a hero at all. I wouldn't want to live next to the guy. I wouldn't want to buy him lunch. I wouldn't want anything to do with him. So again, you know, if you're white and you agree with me, let me know down in the comments below. Here's the thing. We don't want to be for anybody. I'm assuming that if you're a member of the black community and you find out somebody took somebody else's life, I'm assuming you don't want anything to do with that type of person either. I hope we're both right. Mrs. Jacqueline Wilson says, not FBA. They were Ethiopians. They don't know any better. They like to live around them. You know, our society is getting to the point where it's very easy to find racist white people and it's very easy to find racist black people. All you got to do is look for videos like this and read the comments. When you refer to groups of people as they or them, you're not giving them their proper pronouns. You're saying, you're making racial statements. I think what we really need to do is we need to throw the race out of the picture. If we get rid of criminals, and if we can get to the point where we know no matter who's in front of us that they're not a murderer, I think the world would be a better place. I really, really do. Anyway, I hope you guys had fun. I know some of you like when I say white devil. There are legitimate white devils out there. There's devils of all backgrounds. I'm on the side of good. If you're on the side of good and you're tired of all the bad, let me know by hitting the thumbs up button, by hyping this video. Let me know by going and subscribing to Podcast 1250. You know, what he's trying to say deep down is that he's not a bad guy. He's not a murderer. Why does he get lumped in with all these racial statements from whites towards blacks? But you can't make it better by just flipping it and being racist towards whites. You really can't. Again, I think there's a good versus evil battle that's on the horizon. And I don't think it has anything to do with skin color. I think we as a people need to stand up and say, you know what? We don't want to live around people that take lives. It's just not fun, it's not cool, and it needs to stop from everybody. With that being said, don't ever stop walking. I love going on walks. I love watching videos like this. Podcast 1250, excellent video. Again, check it out. Make sure you guys take a daily walk, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Enjoy the football game.